In tonight's edition, false accreditation claims land some universities in hot water, and a summary of all the state sponsorship requirements for the 190 and 491 visas. So, which is the best for you? Hi, I'm Karl Konrad and welcome to Australian Immigration News. This weekly program is proudly brought to you by Australian Immigration Law Services, the company I founded more than 26 years ago now, right here in the heart of Sydney. International students as well as local students must be extremely careful when choosing a course that claims to have accreditation from a professional organisation or government regulatory bodies. The ABC News program highlighted the suffering of students who feel they were misled.
It's really every university student's worst nightmare to have passed all the exams, done all the hard work, overcome all the challenges involved in a degree, only to then find out that it's not going to open the doors that you think it will.
An excellent investigative report on the ABC 730 program this week outlines that several universities are being sued in class actions after allegedly providing false accreditation claims to students who studied there.
Among the first to study Newcastle University's new Bachelor of Medical Engineering course in 2018, Andreas Sklavos is now the lead plaintiff in a class action against the university. Despite promising on its website that the course was recognised by Engineers Australia, the key to the students' qualifications being recognised by employers here and overseas, in late 2020, the uni confessed the course wasn't accredited, saying an error was made in the information posted on the website about professional recognition.
I'll leave a link to this story in the description. It goes on to name other universities who are finding themselves in trouble. It's essential that students not only rely solely what they are told by an education provider, or most certainly not from an education agent selling a particular course for you to study in Australia. If a course is claimed to provide accreditation, verify this with the government authority that regulates the occupation's licensing or the professional body itself. Well, while we're waiting for these states and territories to receive their annual migration quotas, and it's well beyond the normal wait time, at the same time the Assistant Immigration Minister is on national TV telling us how important it is that regional areas and businesses have the skilled migrants in their communities.
Before we make these decisions about the level of migration, we consult with the states and territories, but importantly, we consult with the business community as well. And what the business community have been saying is that they're crying out for skilled labour, particularly in rural and regional Australia. And 3/4 of those migrant numbers will be skilled migrants that will be travelling to Bourke, to rural Western Australia to work in the resources sector.
Well, this delay in allocating the states their numbers is certainly not helping them get there, that's for sure. In the past 26 years, there's never been a year when the allocation of state numbers have not been released before September. However, the regions have been busy releasing their own state sponsorship requirements in the last week, so it's time to give a brief overview of all of them. New South Wales has released 2 new occupation lists for their 190 and 491 requirements. They have a general residency requirement. For the 190 visa, if you're living in Australia, you must have been living in New South Wales for at least 6 months, unless, now the new changes, that is if you're working if you're in your nominated occupation and that 6 months does not apply. If you're outside of Australia, you must have left more than 6 months ago. For the 491 visa, the minimum residence requirements mirror the 190 requirements, but the residency is 3 months and none, again, if you're working in your nominated occupation, which is for Pathway 2. For the 491 visa, there are 3 pathways. Pathway 1 involves working in regional New South Wales in your nominated or closely related occupation. Pathway 2 is simpler. Just submit your EOI and hope for the best. Pathway 3 is for those who have studied in regional New South Wales a bachelor degree or higher and completed their course within the last 2 years. With Pathways 1 and 3, you can apply directly to the New South Wales Government when they open. At the moment, they are not. Have your application ready when they do, as Pathway 3 in particular may not remain open for long once it does. Victoria opened up last week and is essentially the same as before, except that the 500 places they talked about for recent graduates of Victoria for the 491 visa have already disappeared. Makes you wonder how many places they allocated for recent graduates in the last financial year. Victoria uses the registration of interest system, so there is no way to know if you will receive an invitation. Currently, they are hedging their information, as the full allocation is uncertain. They state on their website, details of Victoria's 2025-26 program will be published once the Australian government provides Victoria with its full visa allocation. Hidden away in the FAQ pages, it tells us what occupations are being prioritised by the Victorian government. This may give you an indication of whether you may receive an invitation or not. If you are offshore, occupations in health, social services and teaching are being prioritised. If you are onshore, occupations in hospitality and tourism, digital economy, advanced manufacturing, health and social services and teaching are being prioritised. This week, Tasmania has opened its doors to new registration of interest using the Gateway website. In an email from Migration Tasmania, it indicated that health and allied health occupations are available for the 190 sponsorship program. You can see this table they emailed to us during the week. It tells us that if you're lucky enough to gain employment in Tasmania for at least 6 months in one of those occupations, you're going to have an excellent chance of receiving state sponsorship. If you're working in one of these occupations and missed the 189 Skilled Independent Visa invitation round recently due to low points, consider a move down under. Tasmania's registration of interest system features a unique colour pass system. With a gold pass, you should receive an invitation straight away. Green, you may not receive an invitation right away, but expect one in the next 6 months. And well, with orange, which is nearly everyone else, you'll just have to keep your fingers crossed. Tasmania's ROI system is indeed very temporary. After 6 months, it will expire, and you'll have to do it all over again if you didn't receive an invitation during that time. South Australia has 2 components for the 190 and 491 visas. One being if you've studied in South Australia as a recent graduate, and the other one just for skilled applicants. Your occupation needs to be on their skilled occupation list. In relation to the study component, there's a lot of fine detail which I will not reproduce here, but essentially you'll need to be working for 6 months in your occupation or a related occupation. A related occupation is much more flexible than the Immigration Department's definition of a closely related occupation. The other is for skilled employment working in South Australia and for those working in outer regional South Australia. And finally, there is the offshore category. Most applicants will need at least 3 years of experience in the last 5 years to qualify, except for those listed in trade occupations who need to show only 1 year. When you check out the South Australian occupation lists, it will outline what options are available to you per occupation. If you wish to be considered for state nomination from Western Australia, your occupation must be eligible under the following 2 streams, the general stream and the graduate stream. Western Australia says they will prioritise invitations for candidates with an occupation in a WA industry sector with critical demand for skilled workers. They have also reduced employment requirements for candidates invited through the WA building and construction industry sector occupations. All of these details can be found by looking at their occupation list finder and seeing where you're going to fit in and the associated requirements. You do not have to be living in WA if you are in Australia, as they will sponsor those from other states and territories for the highest demand occupations. For most of you though, you will need to be in WA to have the best chance. There is no specific residency requirement, but they do look at how long people have been living there. The Northern Territory has 2 basic components, whether you're in Australia or whether you're outside of Australia, if you have studied in the Northern Territory for at least 2 years. They have different eligibility criteria depending on whether you are seeking nomination for the 190 or 491 visa. There is no particular occupation list, and all occupations are available for state nomination. There is no direct requirement to prove any period of employment after the completion of your studies. However, it is a competitive system, so those who are lucky enough to be working in their occupations would have an easier pathway. Those who have not studied in the Northern Territory but are living there will be classified under the other Northern Territory resident criteria. To be sponsored under this classification for the 190 visa, you'll need to be living and working in the Northern Territory for at least 2 years in your nominated occupation or related occupation and demonstrate that this employment is available for a further 12 months. For the 491 visa, you must have been living in the Northern Territory for at least 12 months and have at least 6 months employment before launching your application, and that employment must be ongoing with the possibility of another 12 months. Applicants who meet all the other requirements specified above but are employed outside their nominated or related occupation may qualify for the subclass 491 nomination on an exceptional case-by-case basis if they were employed in one of the following critical sectors: health, aged care or disabled care, education, including childcare, hospitality and construction, and the trades. For those who are offshore, you will have to have an occupation on the Northern Territory Priority Occupation Stream or fit under the NT Family Stream or have a job offer under the NT Job Offer Stream. Please check out the occupation list and the finer details for each particular stream, which can be found on their website. The ACT is still running the good old Canberra matrix. This system gives points over a range of specific criteria including skilled employment, English proficiency, formal qualifications, length of ACT residence or study, investment activity, and close family ties, etc. Those with the higher points win. To be eligible for either visa, firstly, your occupation must be on the ACT Critical Skills List, which has not been updated since April 2023. This requirement is the same for onshore and offshore applicants. However, for those who have completed a PhD in Canberra, your occupation does not need to be on the ACT Critical Skills List. You can use any state-sponsored occupation. ACT PhD graduates get a streamlined access to state sponsorship. You can even be living in another state or territory as long as you have completed your degree within the last 2 years. You still need to complete the matrix forms, but you do not need to claim any points. We have already covered Queensland in detail when they were the first state to release its program. I'll leave a link at the end of this video so you can watch after this. Remember to check out the state and territory requirements on their websites, as this video provides only a brief introduction. There was a great question in the comments section that I was going to answer tonight, but I ran out of time. I will get to it next week. The question is, what constitutes a debt to a public authority? This question is on most PR application forms, so stay tuned. Remember, if you need help choosing a state or territory to live in, we are always here to lend a helping hand. As always, take care out there and I'll see you next time. So bye for now.